Brad Harris with us tonight.
Well, I think the world of Mark Ashton, and I was really honored when he called me about coming back here to Lawton. I'm really impressed with Lawton. We've driven around a lot, what's going on here. In 2008, I was a co-chair in New Mexico of the Obama for President campaign. This year, I've been kind of demoted. I'm a shift captain. One offices, and I'm missing my shift here today. I like Barack Obama. He's the smartest and best motivated president I've had anything to do with, and I've had to do with quite a few of them. Running for re-election is tough, and it's different. It's harder than running the first time. I was first elected to the Oklahoma State Senate from Cotton and Comanche counties, and then 4 years later, I ran for re-election. I was telling somebody the other day, I went into a beer joint down here in Chattanooga. I was shaking hands around, and it's about, I don't know, 11 o'clock in the morning. And there's one old guy in there, and he'd been there since it opened, I think. There were a lot of empty bottles of beer in front of me. But I went over back there and I shook hands with him, and I gave him my card, and I said, I'm Fred Harris. I'm running for re-election to the state senate, and I'd appreciate your help. He put his beer bottle down and got my card. He looked at it and he said, all right, kid. He said, I'll help you. He said, anybody beat that son of a bitch that's up there now. I said, well, thank you very much. Well, it is good to be here. I've told you all, some of you this before, but I was reminded of it again when Mark introduced me. He said I'd run for president twice. Well, actually, the first time I just jogged for president. I got in too late, and I saw that the people I had to have were already behind George McGovern, and I didn't run then. I did later run. Some years ago, I was teaching one semester in London, the classes at the University of London, and about midway through this class, I thought by then everybody pretty much knew my background, and I said, to illustrate some point, I said, when I ran for president, and this young woman almost jumped out of her chair, and she was from Iowa, as a matter of fact. She said, you ran for president? And I said, yes, I did. She said, president of what? I said, president of the United States. She said, president of the United States? I said, yes, and I should tell you that I was not elected. This is all true. She wrote that down. Oh my God, this may be on the final. He was not elected. Well, I was a speaker at the Democratic, their annual Democratic dinner in Tulsa, I think about a month ago. Big overflow crowd. It was really very impressive. And then I was telling somebody I'm coming back here again to Lawton in Albuquerque, and a friend of mine said, are there any Democrats there in Oklahoma? Yes, they are. And Democrats in Oklahoma are real Democrats. You know, they're not like some we used to have when I first started running for the Senate around here. You know, they were Democrats bucks. Well, I'm a Democrat, but I can't vote for that Leslie Stevenson. Or, I'm a Democrat, but I can't go for Kennedy. You know, well, a lot of those people no longer with us maybe, but some that are, they're no longer Democrats, and that might be just as well. Democrats in Oklahoma are real Democrats. My roommate in the state senate was a guy named Don Baldwin from Anadarko. And he used to say in a situation like this, Freddie, he called me Freddie, And when he was drinking, Lily sounded like W.C. Fields. He said, Freddie, it's a long road that don't have a turning. And I think things are beginning to turn in Oklahoma. If you take a poll on the kind of issues that you and I stand for, and that Obama stands for, people, that's the majority in Oklahoma. Somehow we've got to get people to see that a lot of them are voting against their own interests. You know, they're thrown in with the wrong crowd that don't have their interests at heart. But also, there's a couple of things that have happened in Oklahoma lately that I really like, and I point to people like that guy that asked me about it. One is, up at Tulsa, a guy named George Kaiser, a really good guy, has bought all the papers of Woody Guthrie and is opening a Woody Guthrie Museum. Woody Guthrie. I used to say that if we had any theme song of my campaign for president, it'd be This Land Is Your Land that Woody Guthrie wrote. First time I met Pete Seeger, you know who Pete Seeger is? Pete Seeger said, do you know where, he later became a great friend and support of mine, he said, do you know where Okemah, Oklahoma is? And I said, yes, that's where Woody Guthrie was born. He said, you're the first person from Oklahoma that I've seen that knows that. So I took, soon after that, I took Arlo Guthrie and Woody's widow, and we went to Okemah. And we put a little plaque on this little house downtown where Woody was born. And while we were there, a local banker with the Chamber of Commerce attacked us in the newspaper. That he thought it was a terrible shame to honor somebody that was a communist like Woody Guthrie was. Some years later, Will Geer was a great friend and a supporter of mine. Will Geer was grandpa in the Waltons, you know. And I knew that he and Woody had held free concerts in California from these Okie refugee camps that they had for a while when they were trying to turn them back. And so I said to Will, I said, was Woody a communist? And he said, Woody would not take orders from anybody. He was too undisciplined to be a communist. The other good thing I've seen lately about Oklahoma is Elizabeth Warren has been inducted into the Oklahoma Hall of Fame. There's the one, if we can get her elected to the Senate, which I think we're going to do. It's tough, but I think we're going to do it. She's going to be on the national ticket. Not in second place, maybe, before very long. I was up to a little meeting with her in Denver not too long ago, some people's home. She has the best presentation about why she believes in what she believes in, and it's all built around her own story. About how she, when she was a teenager here, growing up in Oklahoma, Norman, Oklahoma City, her dad had a heart attack and her mother had to go to work at some lower level job in Sears, and how somehow working she got through high school, and then she worked her way through college, and then she went to law school as a single mom with a 2-year-old child, and had to go to 7 different law schools till she finally found a home at one of the great ones of the country at Harvard. But what she says is, I want to get that kind of an America back where a person like me could work their way through school. And she talks about how the cost of a college education has gone up now 300% since her day. People, she says, my grandchildren, they can't do what I did. She said she's proud of Oklahoma, and she's proud of America, and she wants to get America back. You know, she's famous for this story, this statement that got on the YouTube. There's nobody in this country who got rich on his own, she says. Nobody. You built a factory out there, good for you. But I want to be clear, you moved your goods to market on the roads the rest of us paid for. You hired workers the rest of us paid to educate.